Welcome back. DOGE is set to audit the Department of Defense as it plans to root out wasteful spending in the more than $800 billion defense budget. DOGE representatives met with Pentagon officials last week. Joining me now is Allen Control Systems CEO and Navy nuclear engineer Steve Simoni. Allen Control Systems is a defense technology company that creates autonomous weapon systems to safeguard the military. Steve, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I know you worked at and you worked with the Department of Defense, and now we've got this audit underway. What's your reaction?
Yeah, it's no surprise they're looking at the DOD for waste, fraud, and abuse. When I was in the Department of Defense, we were spending $10,000 on HDMI cables that were, quote, ruggedized when we could have purchased them for $20 or $30 at Best Buy. And we're going to find all kinds of wasteful spending in the department, and it's actually sending shockwaves to the department right now. But let's take a step back at why they're doing this. We need to get more efficient with our spending because there's a massive threat of drones that are proliferating on the battlefield right now. And the new administration, Secretary Hegseth knows this, so DOGE is looking at the department to try to find more waste and then reallocate a lot of the capital they're spending to products that we need for the battlefield of the future, products that can take out drones, because the drones are the primary weapon of the future. And the department knows that, and we're excited about what they're doing.
Well, I mean, this is something that I've been talking about for a long time. I know that drones are real important, but why are we buying drones from China? Okay, more than 90% of all the drones in the world are made in China, and the company DJI in Shenzhen commands 70% of the market alone. Chinese drones are even being used in the U.S. military, and I'm very unnerved by this, the fact that the U.S. would buy drones from China and use them in the military. Recently, I spoke with the founder and CEO of Anduril Industries. You know this company, the drone maker in America. Here's Palmer Luckey and what he had to say about all of this. Watch.
Well, concerns like that are exactly why we need to take control of our own destiny with regard to not just drones, but all of the critical high technology that our military depends on, that our law enforcement depends on, that our critical infrastructure operations depend on. You know, yeah, we buy a lot of Chinese drones, but it gets a lot worse than that. We're buying a lot of Chinese computers as well. Most of the computers the United States buys, even for our most critical military applications, are made in China. Let me ask you a question, I mean, of you and your viewers. Could you imagine if during the height of the Cold War, America had been buying all of our computers and command and control terminals from a Russian company headquartered in Moscow under Kremlin supervision? It would have been completely unthinkable. But because we've been hollowed out by globalism, we've outsourced all ability to make the things that allow us to control our destiny, we're forced into buying Chinese drones, Chinese computers, Chinese chips, Chinese sensors.
Steve, your reaction. How big of an issue is this? Do you see this?
Palmer's right. This is the primary issue of our time right now.
Yeah.
China is dominating with their manufacturing might. They make 1 drone per second. We thought these were toys. We were buying these as consumer products, but what we didn't realize is we were subsidizing their manufacturing might. And now these toys are actually the weapons of war. But we need to go a step further than what Palmer was saying. We need cheaper, cost-effective solutions to bring these drones down. That's why we created ACS. With an AI-powered machine gun, these drones cost about $1,000. They're strapping bombs to them in Ukraine. China's selling them to both sides because China just wants to make money. But both sides need actually solutions to shoot these things down instead of $400,000 interceptors that we're using to take them out. That is not cost effective. We need to bend the cost curve and have solutions to do that because we're not going to be able to reindustrialize as fast as we think we are. We obviously need to reindustrialize. We need to bring manufacturing back here. We need to bring all the supply chains back here. But in the interim, we're actually very vulnerable right now. And we need to have solutions to be able to take these drone threats out.
Well, I mean, that's right. We are vulnerable, and that's why it's unbelievable that we would buy the drones from our #1 adversary. What do you make of President Trump's comments recently? On the one hand, he's saying, look, we need to modernize, we need to buy more defense and get tougher. Pete Hegseth saying we need to go back to the warrior ethos. On the other hand, President Trump says we got to cut. We want to cut defense spending in half. We want to cut $1 trillion out of defense spending. So where are we? I mean, is it one or the other?
It's both. So you look at Pete Hegseth's priorities. He's looking to prioritize the things that matter, like counter small drone initiatives are on his list. There's a list of like 14 things. He's got advanced munitions, products that are infused with AI. And instead of spending money on really expensive artillery and things that are for weapons of the past. So it really is both, and they're looking at it critically, and we have a front row seat to this right now, because the only way to really combat the Chinese drone threat, and really the Iranian drone threat too, because they are a massive exporter of drones, is to get smarter about this.
Mm-hmm. Well, drones are used at the border as well. Anduril Industries is producing lots of drones for the border, and cartels are targeting U.S. Border Patrol and ICE agents with weaponized drones. Tell me about this technology, how it's evolving, and how the drug cartels have gotten their hands on such advanced products.
Yeah, it's no surprise the cartels are using drones. Everyone is using drones. In Mexico, in the last 4 years, they have had the second most drone attacks by the cartels, second only to Ukraine. It's crazy. The cartels are using them to smuggle in drugs. They're using them to find vulnerability points in the border. President Trump knows the border security is national security, and we're trying to increase border protection there. The cartels are using them to strap bombs on them and hurt the CBP. And the CBP needs solutions now. That's why we need to get Bullfrog to the border. We need machine guns down there to shoot these drones out of the sky, because it's not just enough to surveil them with watchtowers on the border. That's not enough. We actually need solutions to neutralize them.
Yeah, I want to take a look at President Trump's most recent investment policy, Steve, because in this most recent executive order on the policies around China, the president is putting limits on what China can invest in America. This is all the same subject. Are we going to have our number one adversary invest in America and have all of this farmland and invest in America and be so close to our military bases? He just wrote an executive order last week called America First Investment Policy to try to put boundaries in place here. Your reaction?
I mean, look, I get sales pitches every day from China. There's a company called Unitree Robotics. They're trying to sell me humanoid robots for $16,000 a piece. This is the next DJI. He needs to go a step further, because we're going to literally start buying these humanoid robots that are going to be in our kitchens and stuff, and it's DJI all over again. We need to get ahead of this now and ban stuff like that. I think I want to see some more aggressive policy here.
And in this executive order, the president writes, the PRC is also increasingly exploiting United States capital to develop and modernize its military intelligence and other security apparatus, which pose significant risk to the United States homeland and armed forces. So the question becomes, do you want to see these Chinese stocks that are traded on U.S. exchanges get yanked off of our exchanges because they're basically allowing unwitting investors to invest in our number one adversary?
Yes, yeah, for things that, especially for things that matter, like drones, like humanoid robotics, things that are going to be in the primary weapons of war for the war of the future. I want to see these things. I want to make sure we're not investing and propping them up. We've been propping them up for the last 20 years on this stuff, and the problem's only going to become greater and exacerbate if we don't do something about it now.
All right, we're going to keep watch on that. That executive order was really enlightening from President Trump this week. Steve, great to see you this morning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Steve Simoni joining us. Stay with us. We'll be right back.